Hello and welcome to the Horti-Culturalists. I'm Stephen Ryan.
And I'm Matthew Lucas.
And we post a video every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe and press the alert button so you can keep up with our adventures.
Our daring do, and don't forget that every Monday we do a short. So if you've got a question for Mr. Ryan, put it in the comments below and he will answer it every Monday.
I certainly will. And don't forget to tell me where you're from because it does help.
It does. And talking about where you're from, look at that view and the moo cows behind us. Stephen, where are we? And actually, look at that eucalypt. It's incredible.
It's remarkable. We're on a rural property in South Kyneton, which is about 20 minutes away from where I live. And it could be almost 1,000 k's away from where I live. It's so completely different. It's a fabulous setting.
And it's late winter.
Yes.
It's blue sky. It's the most beautiful day. So what are we here to do?
All right. Well, we're here to meet an amazing gentleman who is an authority on dealing with and looking after wisteria, of all things.
Aha! Now, we did make a short. It was one of our first shorts ever, actually, about pruning wisteria.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't link it.
No, I think not. Now that we've found the expert, anything we might have done might or might not be right up there and up to date.
But firstly, before we go and meet Shinya, though, tell me, wisteria, Stephen, broad stroke, what are we talking about?
Well, it's a comparatively small genus. There's 2 or 3 species that come from different parts of the world, but they've been very popular, particularly in Japan and China, for centuries.
Yeah.
So not only is it a small genus species-wise, but there are quite a number of selections that have been made over the years. So you've got wisterias that have extra long racemes. You've got wisterias that, apart from the classical lavender, which tends to be the colour that most wisterias are in the wild, there's been albino forms arise in both short and long panic or long racemed plants. There have been darker mauves. There's some verging in the purples. There's one called royal purple, which is one of the Japanese Wisterias, which is probably the darkest flowered of all wisterias. And of course, they've also found a double.
Ah!
So there is a double-flowered Japanese Wisteria, commonly available around the trade, and it has double, quite deep purple flowers on it. And of course, the other colour I didn't mention, which has shown up in almost every species of Wisteria, is pink. So you can get shades of pink, although I have to say some of the pinks are a bit muddy, so you need to select.
White, pink, sort of mauve, purple.
Purple, yes.
And then double.
Yeah, and then double. So that's basically the limit of what is available. And when I say that, that's not quite true because they've also found variegated leafed ones, which I thought would impress you knowing.
Who needs a variegated wisteria?
Well, there's 2 variegated that I know of. One has yellow spots on the leaf, and the other one has white spots on the leaf.
That might be better.
So,
I guess,
there you go.
given that you've got leaf for a long period of the year, maybe that would be interesting. The other thing as a child, remember the wisteria that we had in the garden was fragrant.
Yes, and most wisterias have some level of fragrance, and of course perfume can be a very personal thing, and some people can smell one thing and some people smell something else, and there's lots of people who will say this particular wisteria is the heaviest scented or whatever, but certainly if the scent is mentioned on the label, then there's a good chance it's one of the more scented varieties, because some are more or less scentless, really. So if perfume is important to you, then you need to be very selective on which wisterias you buy.
Okay. Well, I'm so excited to meet a wisteria whisperer. We've got this amazing property with, I don't know, it's a really long curvy terrace covered in wisteria, which Shinya and his team are in the middle of pruning. So it's the most amazing opportunity for us to talk to a specialist and find out all about wisteria pruning.
All right, well, why don't we go and meet Shinya now?
Let's go.
Well, Matthew, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Shinya Ueda, who is a wisteria expert.
Hi, Shinya. It's great to meet you.
Hi, guys.
I am just going to take a minute to look at your shoes.
Yeah.
I'm going to show the viewers. They are the coolest wisteria pruning shoes I've ever seen. But here we are, walking under this terrace. So I've been led to believe that you're somewhat of a wisteria whisperer / wisteria guru.
Yeah, we've kind of become the wisteria guys at this point.
Wisterias are you.
Yeah. I talked to some of the garden friends in Japan, and I told them I'd look after about 200 wisterias in Adelaide and all over Australia.
Yeah.
And they couldn't believe it.
What, that we had that many?
Yeah.
But hang on. So you're a multi-state wisteria specialist?
Yes.
Not just Victoria?
No.
Everywhere.
No. Shinya actually comes from Adelaide. So comes over here to do wisterias in Victoria on a semi-regular basis. I guess each winter you come over for
once or twice a year.
It's become sort of a signature thing of your business.
Yes.
Although one must say it's not just about wisteria.
Yeah.
We'll link your contacts below so anyone in Australia, in fact, can get in touch with you. But what we are here for is this amazing wisteria, and we're in this incredible, there's someone there pretty much, this amazing setting. So it's great that we've got you here from Adelaide, global wisteria whisperer, and we're just going to talk about the basics of wisteria care, wisteria choice, all those things. So,
Beautiful.
Oh,
You just got...
without further ado, let's duck for cover and talk wisterias.
Cool.
Good. Well, Shinya,
Yes.
the first question I would like to ask, and it's one that I get at the nursery all the time, is should I plant a wisteria? Because people seem to be quite frightened of wisterias. What's your attitude about using them in the garden?
Oh, I'd say like yes. First of all, yes, and then maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to be able to get up and tinker high up. So if you're scared of heights, then you need to find someone young and fit
All right.
to help
So
you out.
the first thing is, it's like a puppy. It's not just for Christmas.
Yeah.
So you're planting something for the long term.
100%.
And you've got to consider that. Now, I regularly get people who ask me, oh, is it going to damage the foundations of my house?
Right. Yep.
All that sort of stuff. So and certainly it could pull the spouting off, I guess. So is it necessarily a plant that people need to be scared of structurally for their house?
As for the roots, it's pretty shallow and wide.
Yeah.
So it might lift up the pavers here and there.
Yeah.
But it's not going to really get into your foundation too much. So that's fine.
Yeah, so you'd find that is a reasonable thing to plant a wisteria on the side of the house and train it up or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing that I always struggle with, because people don't ask the question, is about how the wisteria is being propagated. So what's your attitude about grafted plants, seedling plants, vegetatively propagated plants?
Right. Well, for me, I'm not a huge fan of the grafted ones.
Yeah.
A couple of reasons. One is the horticultural, it's a bit of a choke point for the energy.
Yeah.
But also I'm a huge sucker for like old gnarly trunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, bit like that bonsai kind of vibes.
Yeah, I get it.
Insinuating age.
Yeah.
And wisteria is flower plant. So people just think flower. But if you can, over time, take care of it well, you're going to have this like old gnarly plant with this graceful flower. That combination is like the pinnacle.
Well, it's like a lot of things. I mean, olive trees only become interesting when they're old. So I guess wisterias also develop character with age.
I was in Japan last year.
Yeah.
And went to meet the wisteria queen, Namiko-san, and she transplanted this mammoth one. The trunk was like...
Oh my goodness gracious me.
It would have taken 2 or 3 people to hug the tree. It was amazing.
Really? And they moved it?
Yeah. 200-year-old plants, 3 of them.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, of course. Wisteria can go on a lot longer than we can.
Yeah.
And so you could be planting something for posterity, couldn't you?
Oh, every plant, I think, is like you have this, you relinquish control and you go like, hey man, this is something that's going to keep going after I'm gone.
You're not in favour of wisterias that are grafted.
Yep.
What about seedling wisterias? Because I regularly get people who come in and say they've planted a wisteria and it still hasn't flowered. It's been in for 10 years.
Right.
And I often fall back on maybe it's a seedling. And is that, that is a thing, is it not?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I would say it just takes a bit longer.
Yeah.
And in Japanese there's a saying for wisterias, or several different plants.
Yeah.
Wisteria, they say usually like 7 years once it starts to flower. But it depends on the soil and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I just think once it starts to like settle down, it wants to reproduce.
Yeah.
So eventually it should flower.
Yeah.
Shinya,
Yes.
It's so great to meet you. Now, there's a million questions, but my very limited experience, I've heard of Chinese wisteria and Japanese wisteria.
Yes.
Well, what's the difference?
Right. The biggest difference, I would say, is timing, when it flowers.
Oh, okay.
And the length of the flower. So depending on what you're trying to achieve with the plant, I would suggest one or the other.
Okay, so here we are in this amazing terrace overlooking this incredible lake, very sunny, very exposed, quite high. Firstly, what wisteria are we looking at here?
Over here, all of these are Japanese Wisterias.
Yep.
And for this situation, I would choose a Japanese Wisteria because the pergola is quite high.
Yeah.
And the Japanese have a longer raceme flowers.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So if you had for example, if I had a much shorter pergola, and so I don't want to be doing the limbo,
under your flowers.
Then maybe the Chinese Wisteria with the shorter flower is better for you.
So that's one of the key differences then, the length of the raceme.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, it's leafless now. We're late winter, gorgeous day, #blessed. Can you tell the difference? Could you tell this is Japanese or Chinese, given that it's got no leaves and no flowers?
I can.
Well, this is
they're
because
very
you're the Wisteria Whisperer.
Yeah.
Can we get a branch,
Sure.
and you might point out to me, so Wisteria Whisperer, how can you tell?
So with the Japanese Wisteria,
Yeah.
the throwaway sign is that the branch is nice and glossy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the husk of the flower buds
Yeah.
or the leaf buds
Yeah.
are often like a bit rusty color, like
Yeah.
reddish. While with the Chinese, it's furry and more beige.
Ah.
So the color of the buds and the sticks.
Okay, an expert eye only would make that. Now, I'll do a close-up, but just to show everyone there, this is what we're looking at the moment. So we're in late winter, and it's just beginning to start getting its mojo on in terms of opening. All right.
But Matthew, you know that there's another Wisteria.
No.
Yeah.
Well, there's a wisteria, there's a plant here that people call native wisteria in Australia. Hardenbergia, is that what you mean?
Yeah. No, there's the American Wisteria.
Really?
Yeah. It's native to North America.
Okay.
Yeah. You thought it was just Japan and
Japanese
China.
and Chinese, and I was going to say, Japan and China, geographically, not that far apart. So I'm kind of surprised that there's already a big difference between them, that they're so marked. But the American one, so obviously it's related. So what does it look like then in comparison to Japanese, Chinese?
I've touched a few of them. I've tickled a few of them. And
lucky you.
They kind of like curl and whirl. They're a bit more corkscrew. Yeah. And a little bit more dwarf in its vigor. And biggest difference is that the flower is a bit smaller.
Well, here's the thing then, because I was weirdly in the States in May, so late spring this year, and my friend in New York had a wisteria in a tub, and it was in bloom.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and thought, that doesn't look like a wisteria I've ever seen before.
That's it. That's you've seen.
And it was in a tub, and it was a smaller sort of arched flower, and it almost, I thought, it might be diseased or something, because it hasn't kind of grown into itself.
Yeah.
It's American wisteria.
Yeah.
Is it deciduous, the same as?
Yeah. Everything's same.
Wow, fascinating. Okay, so you got your 3 distinct types.
Yes.
Where would you choose one, and for what reason? What conditions?
All right. So if it was when I design gardens and the client's interested in having a wisteria in that project, usually I try to steer, if they've got an arch, like a walk-through, it's kind of like a standalone feature inside an acreage or garden. Then if it's looking from long way away, then Chinese wisteria is really good because rather than leaf and flower like the Japanese ones, it all flowers flowers first. So if you have it in the garden, you have this cluster of flowers.
So hang on, so the Chinese blooms without leaves?
Correct.
But the Japanese blooms with leaves?
Usually. Yeah, there's a couple of nuances, but generally that's the...
And the American one?
Oh,
I think that's with
sure
leaves.
with leaves,
because my friend's was in May and it was in leaf and in bloom, which is why I was puzzled. There you go. So where would you choose to place a Japanese one?
Right. So with Japanese ones, it really is about the length.
Right.
When it's like a curtain of flowers, you'll have to use your imagination with this one. But when it's a curtain of flowers, it's just mind-blowing.
Well, this is a curved terrace. We'll show you the terrace. So it's tall and curved. I imagine it's unbelievable in spring.
Yeah.
So where would you use an American one?
Ooh, American one, I think a lot of us live in cities in apartment units with very limited space, heavily relying on potted plants.
Yeah.
That would be a good one for that situation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or potentially, if you're interested in bonsai,
Yeah.
could be another one too.
I hate to say this, but I do find bonsai just cruel and torturous. But we've done many a bonsai video, so apologies to bonsai lovers.
Yeah.
However, I have seen, and I don't know if you'd literally call it a bonsai wisteria, but I guess, just restricted in a pot. So it might be 1.5 meters tall.
Yes.
And it's just the most glorious thing.
Yeah, and they're good because a bit like Banksias, when you put them in pot cultivation, the trunk expands quite quickly.
Oh, right.
Yeah, more so than in ground.
Yeah.
So you can get this from a relatively young plant. In a pot cultivation, you can make it look older than it is.
Look ancient. Oh, well, good to know. And just an aside that this is the 3rd generation of Wisteria Whisperers up the ladder.
Yeah. Well,
Your
we'll see
son,
how that
you
goes.
look barely old enough to have a child, yet alone one old enough to be pruning wisteria. All right, well, let's go on to the next question with Mr. Ryan.
Yes.
Well, Shinya, I think one of the important things that people need to understand about wisterias is how you treat them at different age groups. So if I'm buying a young wisteria, what is the first thing I need to do?
Right. Preferably buy it when it's still dormant.
Yep, so buy it during the winter months.
Would be preferred, but you can plant any time of the year.
Yep.
They're very girdly. They like to girdle those things.
Yeah.
So if you can stretch them out, it's much preferred.
Yep, so you want to start off with a young, sort of strong shoots that you can then start training in the direction you want.
Well, for me, I guess everyone has different strategy, but for me, I like to let the plants kind of like, a bit like a child.
Yeah.
When they're real little, just let them do their thing.
All right, so all right, so you're going to be quite free form about your wisterias when they're little. So you're not going to start seriously training them hard straight off.
No.
All right, so
more branches, more leaf means more roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not a lot of pruning in the initial year or so?
I don't think so, and just let them ramble up the pole.
No? Yeah. All right. So once you get to that point, though, and you've started to get to the top of the pole on your pergola or whatever you're growing your wisteria on, then I guess you need to start training in the directions you want.
Yes.
So my understanding with wisterias is you get these long whippy shoots that come out from the plant, which are basically for extending the size of the plant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily flowering wood.
Well, every branch will flower if they're only 1 year old.
Yeah.
If it's more than 1 year old, it's just wood.
So when we're training, for instance, say this big monster here, which I understand is about 25 years old, they obviously had some wire that they were training it up because there's a piece of the wire still stuck in the trunk.
Yeah. And a kookaburra too.
Oh, well, there you go. Now, they haven't actually so much wound it all the way around the post so much. It certainly has come around the post in due course.
Yes.
But is it better to keep them clear of the framework they're growing on?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I get it a lot. But I personally, with vines, it's almost it's a part of the house.
Yeah.
It's a part of the man-made object.
Yeah.
So me personally, it's subjective.
Yeah.
But I do like it to twist
sweep
around a little bit.
It does make for interesting maintenance issues in due course, but nonetheless.
When they're skinny, it's all right, but once they start to like pull your pergola apart, it's...
And I guess that can happen.
It can happen. I've seen it.
Yeah.
You can prevent this, though.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about it being a baby or an adolescent. You know, once it starts to get to that age, like teenagehood.
Yeah.
And
teenage wisterias,
then you kind of like a little bit of discipline here and there, or a little bit of
like a teenage, like a teenage child,
mentoring.
Yeah.
So I can pull it down and loosen the grip.
All right. So that there's
so that we've got the shape, but we can give it a bit of room to grow, to flex as well.
All right. So then the pruning comes into that teenage, young adult period.
Yes.
So you've basically spent your initial stages just training it to go where you want it to be.
Cover.
So that's the initial thing. Then I guess it's pruning for control and flowering. I guess.
Well, that's the main reason why we want to have a wisteria.
Yeah.
You know, shade and light in winter, but the flower.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the flowers.
Yes. They're the big thing. So I understand wisterias flower on sort of spur wood, on those shorter bits. So the long tendrils then, once the wisteria is fully grown, I guess they become superfluous after that
Yeah.
to a large extent.
Can I show you, give you an example of a branch, and I can show you what happens from tendril to flower?
Why not?
Okay, Shinya, Wisteria Wispera. Here we have one of the very sort of wandy cane growth. So what were you going to explain about that?
Right. So every year the wisteria will make these tendrils.
Which I've seen, crazy growth.
Crazy growth. I've seen tendrils that get to like 5-6 meters long in one year.
Yeah.
So these tendrils have buds along them all the way through.
Yeah, which we can see. Yeah.
Yep. Now, some of these buds you can will flower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I want them to flower closer to the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Why?
Not all the way up there.
Why is that?
Because I want more density of flower.
Right. Yep.
Yeah? I don't want lots of leggy growth.
Wafty bits.
Wafty bits.
Yeah. Technical term.
Yeah. So, in summer, I go back and I cut this about 80 centimeters long.
So it's in full growth, it's green, it's lush.
Yeah, in middle of summer, around Christmas time in Australia.
Yeah.
And by cutting it at about that length, I will still get another tendril popping out of there from summer to winter.
Mm.
But from the summer solstice to winter, the other buds have a time to become flower bud.
So they kind of metamorphosize
Yeah.
from a green shoot to a flower bud, like a butterfly.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, it's not because it happens, but it's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, this is getting to be a bit of a dark art, Shinya. Okay, so here's a tendril. You're going to cut that one at this point. You're then going to get flower buds, or these will then hopefully turn into flowers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now with a tendril, the catch is it's always a bit difficult to guess which one will and won't flower. But if I give myself that length, then it will
The
happen.
odds are you'll have some of them.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So that's your
year
wild
one.
growth cane.
Yes.
So
And
this
then
is an older cane.
It's basically what we just had there 1 year later.
1 year later.
Yep. So you had the tendril and the buds.
Yeah.
And now some of those buds flowered. Yes.
Right. So this is this point here, which has now got that growth. So that is what these buds were
Yep.
last year.
That's right.
Okay. Great.
So wherever you see, and in we refer to these short branches with lots of buds on them. The tendrils are long and sporadic.
Yeah.
These little short ones with lots of buds on them, I call them spurs.
Oh, Stephen Ryan has just walked into the shot because he cannot not be in camera.
Yeah, exactly. It's just who I am, what can I say? And I have to agree with Shinya, I would call that spurwood.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. We're talking the same language.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So let's carry on, Stephen.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So wherever you see a spur, that tells me, it flowered there last year.
Yeah.
Because it's the stalk of the flower is what becomes a spur.
Yep.
Yeah, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here.
Yep.
So the tendril that I cut in summer
All right. So we can see where you cut it. Yep.
Yeah. So the tendril I cut here produced 1 to 6 flowers.
Great.
Cool. And once we get a spur, we're in business.
Right. Why is that?
Because each spur will guarantee flower. At least 1, if not 3, and sometimes 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. I've seen it all.
I bet you have.
But the thing that created these spur is a flower. So now that this spur makes more flower, means next year I'll have more spurs, and they'll make more spurs.
So
Compounding
exponentially.
bifurcate. Yeah.
But then you being the Wisteria Wispera with a plant this size, can you get too many spurs and flowers? Will it get too dense?
Yes.
So you got to thin.
You got to thin. And if you become a very good gardener and thin well, then you can get the flowers to get longer and also fall more gracefully. Yeah.
So that's sort of sculpting. So you've got to have an eye as to where the flower's going to fall to cut the ones that you don't want to fall, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right.
In winter, when we're up in the ladder snipping away, in my mind's eye, I'm looking at this and I'm kind of like imagining.
Imagine it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
okay.
As I often don't go see a lot of these wisterias I do in flower because I've already seen them in my head.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now, you've got another piece of wood. What's the other one?
All right, so this is an example of spur made flowers, made more spurs, made more flowers.
Right.
But I've snipped these out a bit
Yeah.
so that it's a little bit thinner.
Let's hold it up there. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Okay. And I can see where you've thinned out over time. Right. Okay. And that's really just for the aesthetics, that the flowers might be longer and hang better.
Yes, correct.
And because this is Japanese, it has the longer flowers.
Yep.
So you kind of want to control their aesthetic, I
That's
suppose.
right, that's right. So if it was a Chinese wisteria, I would keep a bit more on there. Because with Chinese wisteria, I want the density.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, the flower heads themselves are quite dense, aren't they?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you might as well play with that. And yeah, more is better.
Okay.
Better. So in summer, there's a tendril. It's full of foliage. I'll come in and I'll cut it about 80 centimeters long. And then from around here somewhere, usually from a thick energetic spot, and you'll get another tendril from summer that whooshes out like this. But these other buds that are dormant will become flower buds. The biggest mistake that I often see is in summer pruning is people count a couple of buds, 2 or 3 buds, and cut it short like this. Yeah. Now what happens is I just get more tendrils, and then there's not enough time in this year for the buds along those tendrils to become flower buds. So keep it long and then let it flower, and once you get the spurs, then you can cut it back to the spur and make it shorter. So if you want the branch to get short, let it flower, and then once you get, after the flower, you get a spur, then I can cut it back and make the branch shorter that way. It's 2 step forwards, 1 step backwards. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, Shinya, you've talked about summer pruning of wisterias. Is there any particular job that I should do with my wisterias in the autumn?
In the autumn, I would say you could do autumn fertilisation to promote flowers. I usually don't. They fix their own nitrogen and they're pretty happy.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with wisterias, they're legumes. So, so they're nitrogen fixing. So I don't remember actually ever intentionally feeding a wisteria, to be honest, in the garden.
I don't. I never do with any of my clients, and they flower pretty well.
Yeah, well, so fertilising is not an important part of the process then, obviously.
Well, provided the soil's healthy, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, it always comes back to the soil. But I guess it also raises the issue, do we in fact spend time watering our wisterias madly, or are they pretty good otherwise?
Well, once they're well established, they're very as above, so below. So their root network is quite vast.
Yeah.
But they are quite shallow. So where I'm in Adelaide,
hot
very
and dry.
And, so there you need more water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But probably here in a cooler, more benign climate, you might not ever have to water them at all.
Yeah, once they're old, once they get old, I do plenty of wisterias that doesn't get watered.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, Shinya, in your sort of list of suggested questions, you did bring up vermin and why my wisteria isn't flowering. What's that story?
Right. So I do get this.
Do you?
In fact, we've got a little bit of bird damage on this one too.
Right.
So the client's like, well, I might call them up in summer and it's like, how was it this year? And they're like, we only had a couple flowers.
Right.
And it's usually birds or possums in Australia.
So the birds eat, at what stage are they eating it? And what are they eating?
Right. So the birds eat during summer. Summer to autumn is when they peck all the flower buds.
Right.
And the possums, other vermins, they eat the actual flowers.
Right. So
just as they're popping out.
So you could get either the buds before they become flowers or when they're about to open.
Yeah.
Double whammy.
Yep. Very sad.
And what can you do about that?
Well, I was hoping that you could tell me.
Well, possums are protected in Australia, so there's nothing you can do about a possum if it decides to eat your wisteria.
No.
There you go, that's the answer to that question. Now look, what I have before me is a seed pod, and Stephen just mentioned it's a legume, and yeah, it looks very pea bean-like.
Yeah.
I mean, can I open this? What's the
Yeah.
seed going to look like? No, I can't open it.
There
we go.
Let me
You
give you a
got your-
hand.
What are your thoughts about growing from seed?
Oh, there we go.
Ah, let's have a look. Oh, look at that big, fat, juicy seed, and it looks like a bean. There we
Yep.
are. There's our wisteria seed. Would you plant that?
Sure, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I've seen them popping up here and there,
right.
but not so difficult, I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't. I manage.
You manage them, you don't
I'm
grow
a
them.
mentor. Yeah, I'm not. I don't run a nursery. No.
Yeah.
So you'll have to go visit Stefan for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't grow them from seed either, do you, Mr. Ryan? No. Absolutely not. But your point earlier on was, what, 7 to 10 years?
That's what they say.
Okay, so you've got to live long enough for that to emerge, but you know, hey ho.
Yeah.
Now, I was just noticing your team doing some tying up of this particular plant. So can we just go and have a look and just see exactly what you're doing over there?
Let's go.
So Shinya, it's always advisable for middle-aged men not to be up ladders. So you can mount the ladder being the Wisteria Whisperer. So what are we doing up here?
Cool. I'm doing a few things this time of the year. One, I'm cutting out all the deadwood, and that's just to make this wisteria look more pretty. And for example, this one made a really nice tendril last summer, and I've got an empty spot here that I want to fill up with flowers. So I'm going to tie this guy down and string him up. And I might pluck a couple of buds so that I can direct which one flowers and which one doesn't. Now over here, I've got a couple of spurs. They're overlapping each other. And I'm looking from above and using my imagination to see where the flowers are going to fall. I like the look of this one better than this one. So I'm thinning out the spurs. Back over here, I've got some long tendrils that need shortening. And we've even got some seed pods here that needs to come off. So doing all sorts of stuff, you know, juggling around, pruning, cleaning, multitasking.
But also, you're kind of, it's sort of 3D sculpturing, because you are imagining what it's going to look like in leaf and in flower as you're tying, pruning, cutting, promoting different growth points.
Well, I don't want people to get scared of having a go. So to encourage people, it's very much like a espalier. So those fruit trees on the walls,
Yeah.
we're just doing it on a horizontal plane.
Right.
So a little bit of horticultural experience, and that can be learnt through mistakes, because it's very hard to kill a wisteria. And then a little bit of imagination and intuition to try to make it look as pretty as you can.
And I guess there's an old adage, what's the difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut? 2 weeks. With wisteria, it's a year. I mean, if you make a mistake, you can correct it in a year with all the new growth.
That's it. Yeah.
Great. Shinya, I feel this has been like a philosophical exploration of wisteria.
Awesome.
I must say,
Yes.
it's a lot more complicated and subtle. I'm not sure I'm more confident or less confident now.
Yeah.
Well, watch the video and you'll learn.
If in doubt, call Shinya.
Yeah,
So
yes.
we'll put Shinya's list details below. You travel anywhere in Australia?
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, if someone wants to take me to the back to the Northern Hemisphere, I'll do that too.
There you go.
Oh, so
The seasons doesn't overlap, which is a good thing.
yeah, well, that's right. You could be pruning in America when you can't be pruning here.
That's
so
right.
yes, yeah, that'd
So
work.
you're like an international, footballer or cricketer. You'll just follow the seasons around the globe.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing we didn't really talk about. Here we are in this amazing terrace with this incredible view behind us. But a lot of people grow wisteria in pots, and we've spoken about Japanese, Chinese, American, in terms of the length of the flower, whatever. But generally, from your experience, pot culture, do wisterias do well?
Oh,
in pots?
they do fine. They'll happily spend a long time in pots. Very popular bonsai material in Japan.
Yeah.
So you could still get a sizable trunk, and you could still get reasonable coverage, even if it was in a pot on a terrace.
That is a no.
That's a different thing.
That's a different
That's a
matter.
hard no.
Yeah.
That's a hard no.
Yeah.
If you want a pergola, I have had people ask me, they've got a terrace or they've got a pergola, they don't want to plant it in the ground. They bought a big garden, raised garden bed, and I say, please do not bother.
Right. I guess because your point earlier, the roots are wide and shallow, so you're
that's
never going
right.
to get. Okay.
It's not a long-term sustainable design.
Yeah,
Right.
At some point, the wisteria is going to root bound itself.
The cows are agreeing with you in the background.
Yeah.
So in pot culture, we're really looking at more like a
Like a big
standard specimen.
like a big
Yeah,
bonsai.
like a big bonsai.
Yeah.
You could do I think if you're going for a standard, maybe, but with a standard, you need big trunk.
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, because it's got to become self-supporting in due
That's
course.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Shinya, thanks for your time, and thank you to the owners of the property for allowing us to take your time, because you've been flown here to prune their wisteria, so we're very grateful. Many thanks indeed.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Well, Steve and Ryan, there is Lindy, the house owner, making us lunch. Thank you. Thank you so
You've just
much.
embarrassed her terribly, but anyhow, there you go.
Thank you for having us. And Shinya and his team behind us working on this amazing wisteria arbor and the field of cows who are mooing their approval. But I just wanted to show you a couple of things. Stephen, you hold that one.
I'll hold
so
this
this is an amazing magazine called South SA Life, South Australia Life. Shinya's from South Australia, but there's a great article about Shinya and his dad. So we've got Shinya, his dad, and Shinya's son here, third generation of sort of horticultural specialists.
So which edition is this, in case people are looking for it?
This is the Best of South Australia, June 2025. So in fact, this is out right now.
Yeah. So
and there is another picture of Shinya's dad doing his masterful work. So generations of horticulturalists.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
Yes.
Very good indeed. And we've also just borrowed this little book, which is all in Japanese, so of course I can't read it, but it's actually a picture book, and it's a story about the moving of a 200-year-old wisteria. So,
which Shinya mentioned.
yeah, so it is quite a remarkable achievement, and something that people should look at more. Instead of destroying things, why not reutilise if you can?
Absolutely. Well, Shinya and the team, thank you. Lindy and Chris, thank you for having us in your wonderful property. What could we be doing next week, Stephen?
Goodness only knows. But it'll be something interesting that I'm sure you'll enjoy editing and putting up for our subscribers in due course.
Wonderful. Well, if you want to know what we're doing next week, you'll have to hit subscribe.
Yes, and don't forget the alert button so that it'll remind you every week.
Absolutely.
And don't forget our Monday Shorts. So if you've got a question for me, send it in via the comments section and we'll get to answering it on a Monday.
And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye all.